Greetings, YouTube. I'm just sitting, brought dinner to my church mom, took a break, left the house for a couple hours. It's kind of a beautiful day here in Oklahoma for a change. Who knew? While I was taking dinner to my church mother, 79 years young, that Act 6 was being nerfed to the ground, according to sources. Let's talk about this from the MCOC team because big changes are coming to Act 6 this June, aka next month. Greetings, Summoners. The Battle Realm is an ever-churning place, constantly in flux and shifting with the sands of time. Can you imagine if you told, why are you breaking up with me? Well, honey, the world is an ever-churning place, constantly in flux and shifting with the sands of time. Who says that? Soon the flux will bring change in the form of an update to Act 6 Rebirth. Some of the changes you can expect with this update include an energy cost reduction, which is always good for those of you pushing to become Thronebreaker, health and attack tuning on defenders, and some improvements to the champion boss of Act 6.2.6, which is still a very frustrating fight. This update to Act 6 arrives on June 8th, 2022, but we wanted to give any summoners that might be trying to make their way through it right now or preparing to try it in the future a heads up so that they could prepare accordingly. The rarity and class gates in Act 2, Chapter 2, Act 2, Chapter 6, Act 6, Chapter 2 have been removed. Class and rarity gates are the gates found on paths. Act 6 remains only accessible by 5-star and 6-star champions. I still think, who cares if you bring in a 4-star for synergies? I just get rid of that. The choice nodes added just prior to the final bosses for all of Act 6. Choice nodes added to every map in Act 6 between the final fight in a path and the final boss. Choice nodes allow players to swap out one non-KO champion on their team for one in their roster. Rarity restrictions still apply for the only 5 and 6-star champions. Energy cost per step reduced from 3 to 2. That is saving so much energy. I also think it's because maybe Kabam wants people to spend energy, like literal game energy, on Battlegrounds. And so by moving it from 3 to 2, maybe that'll free up more energy for Battlegrounds. Just a theory. I don't know. The champion boss of Act 6.2 reworked. The complete breakdown will be posted in the first comment of this post. We'll get to it soon. Reduced regeneration in the champion's kit and cut regen at the start of the fight. Added health cap to all phases so the champion cannot regenerate out of a phase. Changed unstoppable stun on contact claws in phase 2 to unstoppable stun on player struck. Increased duration of phase 2 and reduced duration of phase 3. Cut the direct damage from inflicting nullify stagger on the champion in phase 3. Added persistent variable to track removing indestructible charges in final phase so that indestructible charges do not reset every time players enter the fight. Charges are now persistent and the number left carries over between fights, allowing players to keep progress even when they get knocked out. That is a huge change. Huge buff for players fighting that now. Cleaned up language on some of the ability descriptions. Link nodes removed from 6.2.6 to make the champion less punishing on repeat playthroughs. Nodes removed. Burden of Might, Aspect of Death. This may prove yourself. Nodes remaining. Spite, Unblockable. Enhanced abilities and Kinetic Transference. All fights, excluding the Grandmaster boss of Act 6.4.6, have had their attack and health values retuned. I almost said returned. Retuned. Our target tuning values are now based on players using rank 5-star champions, or using high rank 5-star champions. That's a weird sentence. Attack values have been retuned to be more forgiving and allow for players to make mistakes without being immediately knocked out. Health pools were retuned according to a target health pool split up between the average number of paths fights inside a quest. Quests with a higher number of fights per path will have opponents with lower health pools compared to quests with fewer fights. And then here we go. Kabam Mike's full champion boss breakdown. The changes being made with the old versus the new champions and champion boss are outlined below. The base kit reduced potency of regeneration while unstoppable from 5% max to 1% max. That is a huge nerf. Yay. Pre-show phase. Cut. At the start of the fight, the champion instantly regenerates 30% of the health points his opponent is missing. Mechanic is pre-show phase. Replace it with the champion is already at 100% of his max health. He instead begins the fight with 3 of his Fury buffs active. If the champion begins this fight at 100% of his max health, he begins the fight with 3 of his Fury buffs active in the pre-show phase. Opening bout phase, replace while the champion is unstoppable. Any contact with him leaves the attacker stunned for 2.5 seconds. With while the champion is unstoppable, when the attacker is struck, they are inflicted with a stun debuff for 1.5 seconds. And then add any damage dealt that would push the champion into opening bout is capped until he enters the mode. The champion's in heal block against gaining health beyond 70% to opening bout phase. And then the main event phase, cut the champion deals 2% of his attack as direct damage to the attacker every time they stagger. Replaced with whenever damage over time or stun debuff is placed on the champion, he has a 100% chance to shrug it off instantly. With whenever a damage over time or stun debuff is placed on the champion, he has a 100% chance to purify it instantly. So, champion boss kit. Look at all of this information. So much. When at least one of his fury buffs is active, champion unleashes the full potential of the power primordial. Increases the potency of his armor break by 80%. Activates 2 more fury buffs, becomes unstoppable. While attacking or defending on the final node in the quest for each active fury buff, and while his unstoppable is active, he drains 1% damage. Persistent charge. I forgot how terrible this was. Every 13 seconds, the champion gains 1 persistent charge and activates fury buffs equal to his persistent charge. Champion of the universe. The champion always seeks to fight against the greatest fighters in the universe. While attacking or defending the final node, plus 750 armor rating, 45.92 block penetration, light attacks, true accuracy, medium attacks, armor break. Special 1, 4 more persistent charge, spends 1 to activate regeneration. Special 2, 9,000 critical rating. Special 3, fury counts toward the champion's primal fury. Power stone, pre-show, opening bout, main event, dark match, etc. So, let's see what some of you are saying. This is pretty disappointing to see since I 100% Act 6 prior to the first nerf. This is making it significantly easier for players to get Thronebreaker, whilst over the past 2 years has been a challenge for those otherwise. This change seems unnecessary as Act 6 and Thronebreaker are supposed to be hard achievements to get, and overall by change, the difficulty greatly reduces the achievement. So, look buddy, Kabam is worried with Wallet Breaker now being the newest progression level, that they're going to already tick off Cav players even more. So they want Cavalier players to have an easier chance to not quit the game and push themselves to become Thronebreakers. It looks like the majority of people disagree with your comment because I think they want an easier path to become Thronebreaker. I also think at this point, Thronebreaker has been around for almost a couple years now. And so it's okay from my perspective that it's easier. The champion boss is very frustrating. However, I do think in the case of this summoner or other summoners, there should be some kind of compensation like they've done in the past, where they say if you've completed it or explored it, we are going to give you some items in an acknowledgement that it was harder for you. Because I've known people who've literally spent thousands of units on the champion boss. I mean, thousands and thousands of units. And of course, they'll never see those back because Kabam doesn't believe in giving unit compensation. We're stripping away the last hard content the game has to offer. Wow, that has a lot of people who agree with it. Access as a whole is still going to be challenging. The 6.2 champion is still going to give people fits. Love these changes. The sub in champ before bosses is one of my favorite things added to the game in the past few years. Less energy cost is good. So we got some positives from Alec Fantastic, who thinks it's, well, probably fantastic. So, Mysterio says, "You nerfed me? I was a beautiful X6 boss, and everyone loved without a doubt. This is not an illusion. Please, people like me." Holy cow, so much to talk about. I do think compensation should be going to people, and by the way, I haven't explored X6, so I'm not saying this so I get compensation. I'm getting it from people who especially have explored X6. They should get it. There should be some kind of thank you for clearing it before it got nerfed. But overall, this is going to help a lot of people still play the game. If you want the game to survive, I think that's a good thing. Those are my thoughts. Let's not make this video 10 minutes and get those pesky triple ads. Let me know in the comments.